Now, it goes without saying that parents would want the best for their children. But it can be hard knowing if they are going about their children's development the right way and whether it's likely to reap benefits. Well, parents who are watching, fret not, as this will have you covered. ST Smart Parenting is one of our latest offerings that will give parents deeply researched information on what they can do to help their child thrive. ST's team of education and parenting reporters will search out experts in different fields and get them to explain, verify and give advice to parents that will be useful and focused. The content will be made available in articles in print, online and videos. Now, I caught up with senior education correspondent Sandra Davie earlier, who shared more on ST Smart Parenting. I understand the first few weeks the team is focusing on reading. So what are some of the content that parents can expect with regard to this topic?
Okay, so we decided to focus on reading because that's about one of the most important things that parents can do for their kids to help them, off to a good start in school. And we basically wanted to explain to parents what is it that the research says about reading, why is it so important, So they need to understand that, before they can even think about, okay, so how do I then develop the habit of reading? So in the first week, we focused on what the research shows, and it's not just reading, it's reading for pleasure that makes all the difference in kids, and then because they must enjoy it, to gain the full benefits of reading. And we also explained how, of course we all know that it has an impact on language skills, vocabulary, for example, but research also shows that it has an impact on maths, achievement. So how is that related, So we've explained all this in the first few weeks. And then, of course, now with e-books being very popular, a lot of parents are asking, so can I use e-books with my kids? Because it's so convenient, right? Just don't need to lug around all these books. And they come with these colorful pictures and graphics and sounds and games and what have you.
Very multi-sensory kind of experience, right?
But then again, the research there shows that with very young kids, when you're starting them off on reading, 0 to 5, really is printed books that you should go back to, because e-books just makes it almost too easy for the kids. They don't have to imagine, they don't have to speculate, they don't have to think about the color, It does the work for them, e-books, because everything is presented in huge, big figures and colors and, sounds and everything. Well, with a printed book, a parent will be asking the child, so what do you think an angry bear sounds like? And the child has to imagine, right? But in an e-book, there will be a button for a sound, for the bear, a hungry bear makes.
Right.
So, yeah, in a way, printed books are so much better. And last week, I also covered, or rather this week, we also did a story on how at the higher levels, because our kids are going online, they need to read very differently. So, when a teacher asks you a question, it's no more going to a textbook that's been approved by MOE and finding the correct answer. Now you actually have to go to various sources online and different formats and then try and figure out what is right, what is wrong, and what I can trust, what's the agenda behind these different sources, what I can trust, and then use the right information to understand an issue, So it's a lot more complex. It's a very different
And Sandra, what have been some of the feedback that parents have given you regarding this new vertical that we have? Are there any burning questions or topics that they want covered?
So far, we've had very good feedback. We have suggestions as well, and what else needs to be covered. And of course, one of the big topics is the new PSLE scoring system, which we'll be covering in the weeks to come.
Right. Yeah. And I also know that there is a newsletter that parents can sign up for. Tell us more about that.
Well, we have a newsletter that goes out to parents telling them what we have that week in smart parenting, from the printed articles to the online articles to the library of materials that we are building, including these wonderful videos that are being done by experts from National Library, from the British Council, and Eaton House. Yeah. So far, and myself, of course, and there'll be many more. So in the weeks, months to come, we hope to keep this going for a long while. We will have a very rich library of materials that parents can keep going back to as their kids go through the different stages. To glean information, to look for advice that they can use, that'd be really useful for them as parents.
Right. Well, thank you so much, Sandra, for coming on to speak with us. Always a pleasure to speak with you. Now, that was our senior education correspondent, Sandra Davie, who shared more on one of the Straits Times' latest offerings, ST Smart Parenting, a guide for parents on what they can do to help their child thrive. Now, you can find the link to the site in the description below if you're watching us on YouTube. There is also the link to the newsletter that Sandra mentioned. You can find it there as well, or you can visit straitstimes.com/smartparenting.